Now, what we have here is a bunch of small trails. Not enough to dim the sun, let alone block out the sun. But what I do is that I have a look. What any existing clouds do we have in the wake? Because if we're going by what the mainstream media is saying, and that, excuse me, that all these trails here, these persistent trails, is because of humidity, pockets of humidity that are, or even moisture that is lingering in the atmosphere. And that is one aspect of how clouds are formed. Now, if we have a little look, you can see these like small whispers, okay, right next to these trails right here. And that is an indication to me that there is moisture in the atmosphere, because this is what we call cirrus clouds. Now, cirrus clouds is this, okay? These are high altitude clouds that are above 20,000 feet, super cooled ice crystal clouds. But the point I'm trying to get, that the fact that there is moisture in the atmosphere, because I can see this existing white haze, and I'm not saying it's to do with the trails, because it doesn't really look traily, to be honest with you. It looks like a big white sheen, which is a natural cloud, which you can trace back through books, okay? So I'm just going by research here. But this is just an indication to me, because we have the cirrus, which is that thing right there, and that's in the same atmosphere and altitude as these trails, which is an indication of moisture. You see what I mean? You know, not a debunker, I'm just sort of asking the questions. Look at my hair. Oh, that terrible, all flippy floppy. So time will tell for the rest of the day. This is what I do. We're early in the morning, we're about 7:30 in the morning, and I just pop out and have a quick look at the sky. We have persistent trails in the sky, not enough to block out the sun, but we shall see in the duration of the day. But the idea is that the fact that there is moisture, because I can see cirrus right here, okay? Not a debunker, I just do research into weather and how clouds are formed, especially cirrus clouds, because that is on the base level of where these trails are formed. Okay, so far we having these small, tiny trails. Now, if you have a little look here, it's very, very faint. I don't know if these are actually going to spread out and blanket the sun, or for instance, dim the sun. Okay, remember I said dimming and blocking out the sun are two separate things, okay? If we have a little look, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but you see this white haze, there's like a plane way above this white haze. So that's an indication of whatever these trails are, it's a lot lower than the cruising altitude of that plane there. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it's definitely above where the trails are being formed. Not saying it's been sprayed on purpose, and I'm not saying it's natural weather. I'll just have to go 50-50 on this one, you know. But so far, now it's pretty much past 8 o'clock in the morning, the trails are here, but it's not enough to dim the sun. Understood? Okay. But I will track the aircraft. Like, for instance, you can see there's one up there. I'm going to go on flight tracker now. Okie dokie. So, if my calculations are correct, it's the only plane that's flying over my area at the moment, and it's this one here, and it is traveling at 35,000 feet, which actually makes sense, because these trails, I would say, is around above 20,000 feet. Okay, so it's showing that the base level of the humidity, so to speak, it's between the troposphere and stratosphere. Okay, I'm getting a bit technical here, but as you can see, this is the plane here, and it's flying to Dublin to Paris. Well, good luck on that one. So yeah, there we go. That is what I do. I track these planes, and especially the ones that give off trails as well. So we shall see the remainder of today what the skies will be like. Perfect example. Look at this. Okay, you can see the plane is given off a trail. It's most probably going to stop. However, it's got the trails in the distance here, and I'm going to track this aircraft right now. It kind of looks like a Ryanair flight. Okay, it's actually stopped. I knew that was going to happen. This looks like a Ryanair flight. I can see the blue tag, or it could be... I don't know if you can see it. Okay, this is the aircraft that give off that trail. And this is a Delta Airlines flight. going from New York to London. And it's traveling at 22,000 feet. It should be descending now, as you can see, and now it's traveling to London, as you can see, as it's traveling east. So as you can see, it's descending at the moment. So yeah, that is the plane that gave off the trail right there. Now this is obviously a commercial flight because it says arrival in London pretty much soon. Okay, you can see the time of arrival there. So yes, this is a commercial airline flight, and as you can see, it's actually still descending as it's arriving to London. So yeah, there we go. That is a commercial airline flight, and it is not a military flight. And in fact, you can see you can see there with the plane, it's got the blue underbelly underneath the plane, so that is an indication it was that plane, and it's just flew right past our area. So yeah, that is a Delta flight. So as you can see, the plane has left that trail there, and I'm going to track this plane right here, and I'm pretty sure it's a FedEx. Okay, this one just flew over pretty much at the same altitude as the other one as it's flying into London Airport. So obviously you can see here it's traveling at 22,000 feet, and it is descending, 22,275 feet, and obviously you can see that descending right now as it's flying over. But there are a number of trails in the sky, and obviously tracking the planes, you can clearly see these are not military, these are commercial flights, and you can see the serial number of the plane itself. It could be disguised to look like a commercial aircraft, but it's flying into London. I'm going to be honest with you, I think it's more or less a commercial flight, and I'm not going to go down that echo chamber and see it saying that every single plane I see in the sky is military or a chemtrail plane, so to speak. Okay, you need to add a bit of common sense into this subject. Not unfortunately, but fortunately you need to. So yeah, I can see a few more planes coming up, and let's track the skies. You can see the white haze is not sufficient enough really to dim the sun. Okay, like I said, we're only gone past 8 o'clock in the morning, and we should see what the rest of the day looks like. But you can see it is spreading. You can see it's definitely spreading, and that is definitely trails. Now it'll be interesting to see what this one does on the time-lapse camera. I'm gonna try and get it absolutely exact. Okay, but yeah, these trails, technically, if you want to be technical about it, that these turn into pretty much it turns into cirrus or cirrostratus. Now cirrostratus is what makes this like white haze, which is natural. Okay, you can trace it back through many books, through many decades, and you can see that it does mimic basically that. It's just basically artificial, isn't it, when you look at it? And I'd be really interested to see, once this does get more persistent, if it does throughout the day and it comes out to this white blanket. I'm like a bloody weatherman at the moment. It should make like a halo around that sun. We'll see what happens. I love days like this. Bloody Kemi. So as you can see so far, the trails are ramping up, but only in one specific area. I mean, that slightly. Obviously that white haze I just showed you has spread out quite a bit. I'll be interested to see it actually makes a halo around that sun. But you can see right here, it is getting quite rampant. And I did see a plane, I can't see it anymore. Don't know where it's gone, but you can see it's in that one immediate area. Oh, there's the plane. Obviously it's descending because it's travelling to London, but obviously you can see it's right over there where the trail is, and it's a lot lower than the 22,000 feet which created this trail as we tracked the plane not long ago. So yeah, there we go. But I asked the question, is it going to dim the sun? Because the weatherman said it's going to be clear sky today. Bastards. Okay, right, we can see another one over there. and it's just produced that trail. So we're all in sync. I'm going to be honest with you, that is the direction of where London is. Okay. So you can see it's got the blue, I can't zoom in, the sun is in my eyes, I do apologise guys, but you can see it's got the blue tag underneath. And it is getting rampant. Okay, let's track that plane. Okie, this is the plane, and it's flying from New York to London, and it is a JetBlue aircraft, and it's travelling at 23,000 feet. Obviously it's descending because it's arriving shortly into London. You can see it's descending right now. Just double checking. Yeah, it is, you can see it. So yeah, you can see another commercial airline, and if I just clicked on it, you can see it's got the blue underbelly. So yeah, there we go. We have more commercial airlines. Look at it now. It's definitely created this white blanket. Give it another half an hour, and I reckon, from my prediction, that the fact that this most probably would create a halo. This is once it's all spread out. But yeah, look at it. Yeah, it's definitely getting there, isn't it? And this is what I mean by altostratus, because altostratus is a natural cloud. Like, it does create this white haze that people misidentify of actually being chemtrails. But this, as you can see there are bits of trails, and that's an indication. You can tell it's, you know, it's either done on purpose or something natural. I'm going 50-50 here, okay? It's entirely up to you how you take any material that I put out, okay? But as a clear example, you can clearly see the trails in that white mass of white haze, okay? And you can see it started to, you see like the white shears that are going off it, it's turning into cirrus, just artificial. And then that cirrus turns into altostratus. Sorry, cirrostratus, which is this. There's one aspect of this experiment that I'm kind of struggling with. If I'm going by what the mainstream media is saying, that all this trails in the sky is to do with humidity, then how do I track the humidity? If I'm saying, and I know this for a fact, that the humidity level that is on the weather broadcast or any weather site, especially the Met Office, that's like the official weather broadcast for the UK, and the humidity level will say, for instance, 46% like it is at the moment, when according to the mainstream media or the mainstream science, for these trails to persist, and here it is here, the percentage needs to be above 60%. 60% above that, basically. So all the information we see on the weather broadcast in terms of humidity, we can't take that into factor. We cannot, because that is just basically ground level and not basically surface level. I need to find out how much humidity is being persisted throughout the day. It's just basically, I want to see where the humidity level is, so I can track whether or not these trails are being persisted in that area, and I'm finding that very, very difficult. So it just seems to be very, I wouldn't say one-sided, because I'm not ruling out chemtrails. You know me, guys, you know, I do these videos to really put a realistic aspect to what I'm actually seeing, because I'm seeing so many videos like people like this who just film the skies and they have no idea what they're talking about. Don't know how clouds are formed or how weather works, especially all different types of clouds. There are many, many different types of clouds, okay? So the whole concept is just like big puffy clouds, because we all know that from since we were a kid. It's just very nonsensical, and for me, who's been doing research, going back to old books on cloud formations, you clearly see that these trails have been going on, but it's nothing like we see in today, like it is at the moment. Okay, so we're just really putting a very based conclusion to the information I'm coming across and that I'm presenting to you. Okay, so going back to the humidity, I need to do a bit more research into that at the moment. You know, I want to get this a more realistic conclusion of what we're actually seeing in the sky, and trying to find out whether or not it's been sprayed on purpose or whether or not it's actually something natural. Just saying, okay? But again, not denying chemtrails. Definitely not denying them. Now a bit of time has gone past. I have seen this so many times, this textualized cloud, which is basically these trails. This is it. Proper example is what you're seeing right now. This is what the trails do. And once the trails get a bit more spread out, it will create this effect. Obviously, we all know that. We all know that. I've been researching into it. At the moment, time-lapse camera is facing the sun. You'll be able to see it, as you can see it now, as we are pretty much gone past 8:30. And you can see it hasn't created a halo yet, but within time, once this blanket out, more or less like a white sheen, like a white haze, because at the moment it's quite thick, then you will see the halo being persisted, or presented, whatever. So yeah, all that magpie over there, beautiful. So there we go, this is just for you to see. This is what trails do. Pure trails, nothing else. Absolutely nothing else. I haven't seen any, in terms of, I've seen some cirrus this morning. I mean, you can consider that as to be cirrus, but this has all been trails basically, everything. Which one could say could be geoengineering. Oh look, you can see, just see the top there where the finger is? You can see is just about to make possibly like one ring, or maybe a whole ring, or a double ring like this one. Time will tell. Okay, we've got another plane right there. And this has got a white underbelly on this aircraft. It's definitely given off a trail. So let's track this aircraft. This is the aircraft, as you can see right here. And it's got a white underbelly underneath. And let's get out of that so you can see the plane itself. And this has gone from New York, JFK Airport, to London, as has been on the same track. Now again, let's have a look at the per feet. And that is 23,000 feet on this one. Obviously it's descending because it's going into London Airport. Again, we have another Virgin Atlantic flight. Actually, no, this is the first one. But again, we have another commercial airline. I'm going to show you what exactly this has done. Basically done on that trail there. All the way along there. It's done that. And this other one's just gone past. A bloody crow. This aircraft is Air Canada and it's gone from Montreal to London. Again, it's the same altitude, 21,000 feet, or thereof for 22,000 feet. And it's travelling to London. And we have another aircraft coming in, and I'm pretty sure it's going to lay another trail in the sky. I'm just popping my head out the window like an idiot. And this has come from Chicago to Doya. What's that? Qatar Airways. And yeah, got a little Cessna's there. What are Cessna's doing? Privately owned. So yeah, we have two aircraft, and I think that one is just about to fly over. Should we go pop her head out the window and have a little look? Ooh. Just in time. Look at that. It's made a shadow. Awesome. Look at that. Clear example. Look. The sun is in the direction right bang on of where the plane is going. And it's given off this shadow effect. So yeah, that is it. Did it leave a trail though? No, it didn't. How strange. Because that is in the same altitude as this white haze and where the trails are. Look at that. That's awesome. That time-lapse camera will definitely pick that up. Awesome. So yeah, that is that plane there. And it did pretty much nothing. It's the first plane I've seen so far in that direction. I didn't give off that trail. Obviously that one was the one before. You can see that one I'm focusing on at the moment. And you got another one as well, which seems to be a lot higher. Time-lapse camera is facing the sun. Can we see a halo. Zoom out. I can't see through the camera. I don't know, can you see a halo or any resemblance of a halo? Because it is now spread out to more or less like a white haze like you're seeing here. I'm really interested to see what the time-lapse camera looks like in crystal clear 4K footage. But you can see here, it's really starting to get quite thick. And one would say, oh, is this something to do with Sirius? Now this is the other thing here, okay. Oh, we can see just slightly over here, bit of a rainbow. So is there natural Sirius being blended into this, or is this just pure trails? I think personally, this is just pure trails. And obviously this is a very, very clear sign that geoengineering, solar radiation management, or solar radiation modeling or modification is taking place. But is it going to block out the sun? Because the weatherman said it's going to be clear skies. Look at it. This is what it's saying. Clear skies, and we're getting this. We're early in the morning. We're coming up to around about 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's not the full brightness of the sun. It's not going to get the full temperature just yet. We are bang on 10 o'clock. So it's been at least 3 hours since I've been filming the skies. And so far, look at it. Completely whited out. Now, like I mentioned an hour ago, how many trails are persisted in this area of the white haze? Now you can see here, there's a few of them in the sky. And it's actually producing, you can see, all the halos. See, I did say the halo might start to show an appearance. Now this has turned into a much thicker white haze, which I would call, I'm going to put it on screen. I'm going to find in my book something that matches this, okay? Is this to do with chemtrails? It's a 50-50 mixed bag, in my opinion, because personally, yes, there are trails, and you can see them in the far distance there, still, I mean, you can see them right there, actually, you know. In fact, the whole sort of area is pretty much trails, but is there like a natural cloud coming in because of the humidity? I don't know. I don't know on that one. Do you understand? So I'm really working through what the mainstream media is saying and what the chemtrail community is saying. Is this just been sprayed deliberately on purpose? It could be. Look, it could be. Look, I don't know on this one. I really don't know. I do these experiments, these analysis, just to sort of really try and figure out what I'm really seeing. But the thing is, we don't know what weather does. You don't know what clouds do any specific time of the day, because weather changes all the time. And this is the problem that I'm seeing over and over again, is people who point their camera up into the sky, a bit like me, what I'm doing, you know, like a flipping idiot, and saying this is how weather works, this is what these trails are actually doing. It's like, look, no, you don't really know what the outcome is going to happen with these trails. Look at it now compared to what it was an hour ago. This is over my area. It became very small and became thick like this. So I don't know at this point. I really don't know. But definitely the halo's showing. Look at that. And I always have an open mind. I always do, guys. I always have an open mind. But at the same time, a lot of people who do the same thing that I do, or just regurgitate what they see online, the fact that they point the camera up into the sky and they narrate what they think is going on. But these people haven't really done any research into like how weather works, what are different types of clouds, you know, at least the basic knowledge of how a cloud is formed, how, like, for instance, high and low pressure affects the climate, can affect clouds. And this is it. I think a lot of people are just assuming because they know one type of cloud, which is the cumulus cloud, which is the big puffy cloud, and that's the only type of clouds that exist. It's like, no, if you just do a bit of research and look into it and have an open mind to say, right, let's just have a little track, let's go back and find out whether or not these clouds that are being claimed to be man-made are actually something natural. This is it. And I find people in the chemtrail community just have a very narrow mind perspective. They're really stuck in an echo chamber. It can be actually quite nasty. Science, okay, weather changes all the time and there is a science behind it, and just to claim that all of a sudden that weather has been manipulated 24/7. Well, I'm sorry, but this week's been absolutely beautiful. Okay, so where's the manipulation behind that then? Do you understand? I just think people just really jump to conclusions, and when you've gone through this awakening process, you are stuck down an echo chamber. I'm sorry to say this, but I've been down there many times. But you got to keep an open mind to anything, especially weather, because weather changes, guys, and that's a fact. Okay, I am back, and you can see we have the halo still persistent in the sky, and we do have this band of white, hazy, traily, definitely traily, that's all blended into one white haze. Look at that. There we go. Now, these trails are thick. I don't mean thick, I mean thick enough that something that Bonnie Blue would be into. That halo. But yeah, that's a thick trail. Bonnie Blue all the way. We are coming up to 11:30, and so far that massive white haze has now gone off into the distance, travelling all the way to London, as we're seeing those planes flying in that direction where the camera's facing, which is towards London. Pardon me. And yeah, as you can see, what we have there, it's some cirrus. So maybe the cirrus did play a massive factor in the blend of these trails, because remember, the cirrus is in the same altitude as these trails here, which is around over 20,000 feet, and the planes have been travelling, as you see, as I've got records of it, over 22,000 feet, which is thereabouts of where these trails are. And you can just about see the rainbow where the trails are. So yeah, it's been a very interesting morning. But is it going to stay like this for the remainder of the day, or is it going to clear up? Got a bit of white haze over there. Cheers everyone, it's been a beautiful day, nevertheless. Sun is still shining, got my flipping sunglasses on for Christ's sake. So, we are coming up to 1 o'clock. And as you can see, we've got some remnants of some cirrus, cumulus, and a trail. But all in all, it's actually becoming quite clear. So what's that all about then? It's days like this you got to think, well, what was the purpose of all that in the morning? Well, for instance, they can spray near the coastline, which is technically where I am. So the idea of dimming the sun, I think is probably a bit too far-fetched in my opinion. I'm going to be honest with you, I think there's something else to it. So far, here is the sky. A couple of trails. That's obviously spreading out. But all in all, it's been a mixed bag. It was traily, kind of covered the sky, and then it went clear with a bit of clouds, and now we've got clouds again. In terms of temperature, it hasn't made a sodden difference. Nothing. And this keeps on happening. It's not blocking out the sun. It's not dimming the sun. Just saying. We've got a bit more time for the remainder of the day, and I will keep my eyes to the skies and report back. Okay, an hour has passed, and the white sheen is back. Nothing to do with the trails. Do you see what I mean? This white sheen. A bit of a ripple effect there. I would call that billow clouds. But as you can see through the time-lapse video, let's just skip forward to what is now. Nothing to do with trails. So this white haze is actually natural. Nothing to do with the trails. It's made a halo though. Look at this. Okay, it's been a few hours, and more than a few hours, more like 5 hours, and we're coming up to around about just gone past 7:30 in the evening. Let's have a little look up in the sky. So what today's outcome has been, a mixed bag. It was extremely traily for the remainder of the morning. Then it went clear, a little bit cloudy, more cloudy, and it went to the white haze and then to this. Okay, And I think this is a very much prime example of how weather changes all the time. You know, we've got this concept as we're more or less seeing geoengineering on the cards here, that weather manipulation has been going on 24/7. Now, personally, I don't see that. Okay, I just do not see that at all. So today was a very clear example of how I go about analysing the skies, because don't believe everything you hear online or on social media in terms of the trails in the sky, because a vast majority of these trails don't really do anything in terms of actually dimming and blocking out the sun. I don't see any of it, to be honest with you. And I'm not denying chemtrails, I'm just thinking the idea, the whole concept to actually block out the sun, even to dim the sun, on such a large scale to make any impact on Earth temperature is just nonsense. It really is. And you think I'm joking? For instance, go on Google Earth, pull up the whole entire Earth, now zooming into England, and just imagine the whole of England being sprayed, completely covered in chemtrails. And then I want you to zoom out to the whole world and do a 360 spin of the world. Yes, it is a globe. And then say to me whether or not the spraying of England is going to make any difference to world temperature. It's not. It's retarded. I know people don't like that word, but it sums up a lot of nonsensical, just even like the common sense. Just like, okay, let's just think about this. Is it really going to make any difference? For instance, Bill Gates just putting chemicals into the cows to stop them from farting because of the methane to stop global temperatures. That has to be the most retarded thing I've ever heard. And it's supposed to be done in our benefit. No, I'm sorry. Especially when the person that went into the vaccine scamdemic back in those days, you know, dare I say more? Probably not, because it's YouTube. But you can see they say these things is for our benefit. I don't see it's for our benefit at all. I think there's something else going on here. I'm going to be honest with you. I think to block out the sun, to dim the sun, it's been put there by the mainstream in recent months. Now it's been funded, but to be honest with you, they're using weather balloons that really don't do anything. Okay, they're really relying on basically the jet stream, depends on how far these balloons go up. You know, I just, time will tell, it's early stages yet, but I think now we need to keep our eyes to the skies and just don't believe any Tom, Dick and Harry, especially me, pointing their cameras up in the sky and narrating what's actually going on. For me, you get 50-50, both sides of the story, but the vast majority of people don't. They just say, oh, that's a chemtrail, it's all weather manipulated. It's like, no, you can't do that. You're living in an echo chamber. Take a step back and just realise what you're actually seeing in the sky. Is these trails going to block out the sun? Is it going to dim the temperature? How long is it going to dim the temperature for? Is it throughout the year? Is it just for 1 day, 2 days? If it's done for like a whole week throughout the whole year, it's not going to make any difference to temperature at all, isn't it? Do you see what I mean? People don't understand weather and they don't understand what they're actually seeing in the sky. And I'm going to be honest with you, I see a lot of that online.
Okay, what I want to do now is just go through the time-lapse video on that specific day. And we're just going to go through the 12 hours, which has been spliced into about 10 minutes. Okay, I'm not going to take too much of your time. I just want to show you what I mean by how the weather can change throughout the day. And this is just one typical example. I mean, some days you get some trails in the morning and then it's completely fine throughout the duration of the day. And sometimes there's changes, you get some like rain that comes in, some cumulus clouds. It really is a mixed bag, okay? But there's one part I want to really focus on, okay? In the morning, we had this. Very small trails. I mean, enough if it was continuous spraying throughout the day, which it did, which turned into that, all right? This white haze, was it to do with the trails? And I kept on talking about this during the time I was recording, because I said that this was all trails, pure trails. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to backtrack on that one. I'm going to bring up our video of the time lapse. I'm going to go through it together. And we're going to talk about whether or not the trails in that area was blended in with the cirrus. Did something else naturally came in, or was it the trails that eventually spread out? Because the trails that spread out, basically, it's a very white sheen. It's like a white haze. Now, here's a typical example. I don't know if you can see here, loads of trails in the sky. I think I took this one actually, and as you can see, it starts. The white haze is starting to get persistent once the trails are spread out. But for instance, like this is something a little bit different. You know, is I would say this is pretty much cirrus, or cirrus stratus. And again, here we have here, which was taken the other day. So let's bring up the time lapse and let's have a look. Okay, I've now done a double speed on this time-lapse video, so it would be a lot quicker than normal. Okay, so this is the morning so far, and as you can see, there's very small trails started to come into fruition, and then you start to see that big bulk. Okay, and this is the part of the morning, and as you can see, those small trails you can see is starting to spread. Now I want to concentrate on this area here, the white haze. Okay, so there's more trails, keep them coming in. And yes, they do spread out, but is it enough to actually blanket this sky? Now watch very carefully, okay? I do maneuver the camera a little bit at this point. But you get to see, you will see, and I did mention this on the video, right now, the trails are spreading, but you start to get some, I would consider as cirrus in it. Okay, so cirrus is starting to build up in that area, and boom, that is where that white haze has come from. So it's literally gone from a small amount of trails, which has blended in that area, but you're getting this cirrus stratus that are being formed in that area, possibly because of moisture. Look, listen, guys, you know me, you have to have a 50-50 perspective on this, okay? This doesn't seem to me, I mean, look, you see the trails there. It's not literally blanket this whole area. Do you know what I mean? So, like I said in the video, you are getting this cirrus being formed in this area in the mix of the trails as well. There's a nice example, like big trails. If I just go back a little bit. So yes, it's a mixed bag. You're getting the two and two blended together. And this is how this white haze has happened. And I showed it in one of my in a part of the videos, especially this halo effect you get, and that is part of what's called cirrus stratus. So I'm going to backtrack and say, no, this wasn't to do with all trails. Two scenarios on this. The first scenario, this has been sprayed on purpose. Or, secondly, this is a natural condensation trail, and it just so happens to form in that area because there's moisture in that area, and which kind of does make sense because you have the cirrus stratus being built up in that area, and it's all to do with moisture. Okay, I'm trying to figure out the best perspective on this. Okay, a realistic conclusion: is moisture playing a big factor into why these trails are spreading and persistent in the sky? Most likely. We can trace them back from years ago. Okay, so this photograph here, which was taken in one of my books in the mid-80s, and you can clearly see the trail and the cirrus pretty much near the same altitude. Okay, because this is where the cirrus cloud is forming, is the same altitude as the trails. Let's just continue for the rest of the day, but as you can see, it starts to clear. So we had all those trails in the morning, and you had the cirrus that comes in. It even performed the halo as well. And yes, these trails are spreading out, you can see that, but it's not enough to block the whole landscape, what you're seeing. Like this area here is all to do with cirrus. Or another example is that was been sprayed, 100 miles back north, and it's just made its way up in my area. It doesn't look traily, to be honest with you. It looks more like cirrus. Okay, so as you can see, it's gone completely clear. You do have some small little trails throughout the rest of the day. There is some sort of like mist in the sky, okay? So the trails are very, very small. They're very, very faint. And you do have this white haze being built up. And this is another important thing, okay? Check this out now, all right? Okay, you're starting to get the cumulus. And this is this big, this is like this puffy white cloud here. The trails are persisting, okay? And now suddenly you start getting, which I would call this cirrostratus cloud, is a bubbly sort of cloud that you see high in the high altitude of the sky. And then the white haze starts to come back. Okay, so this is showing there's a mixture of weather here. Okay, it changes all the time. It's such a mixed bag. Okay, weather is never the same. Actually, I quite like this. It's a wonderful effect, isn't it? The camera picks up. But you can see a trail being formed, not enough to block out the sun. The halo starts coming, and then you got the white haze once again. Okay, And this is a very important thing to analyze, guys. You would say this is billow cloud. Sorry, you may say this is harp clouds, but personally, I just think this is just billows, my own personal opinion. But as you can see here, that white haze, you can't see any chemtrails in it or any trails being laid in there, aren't there? Do you understand what I mean? So this white haze is natural. It's a natural cloud, okay? But everyone keeps on blaming it on geoengineering. It's like, look, you can't really do that. And this is a perfect example of why I film the skies, and I can actually track the skies and see what they're actually doing. Are these trails making any difference to the temperature, even to the weather, and whether or not we can actually explain it as something natural or done on purpose, like a spraying? But as you can see, this white haze is starting to appear without any trails in it. I could play devil advocate and say, right, that white haze right there was sprayed 100 or 500 miles in a north direction. It just made its way up into my direction. Could be, but you will still be having trails laid in that area. But we're just having white mist like you are seeing right now. So yeah, this is it, guys. This is it. Weather is a mixed bag. We live in England. It changes all the time. And I'm not saying this is done on purpose for geoengineering, because from what I'm seeing, it didn't affect the weather. It didn't affect the temperature, I should say. So this is my final conclusion for this video on this part 4 of many parts of chemtrail videos been putting out. Did this day, on the 20th of May 2025, did the chemtrails make any difference? The answer to that is no, it didn't. But am I denying chemtrails? No, I'm not. And I think now the government has announced the funding for this geoengineering program. I think we need to keep our eyes to the skies. But just remember this. Not every single trail we see in the sky is weather modification. And I'll leave you with that. I'll catch you soon on another part. I'll investigate with Nick. Or the Cosmic Twilight, which kind of sounds gay now. I might change it to investigate with Nick. I'll see you later.